That's a much nicer box than I initially thought when I bought it. That'll help make up for the 3 items that I'm going to show you last, which I overpaid for. Oh, so then there was this box of carbide inserts, okay? And those of you who've seen my episode where I kind of went through all my carbide, it's kind of like the land of misfit toys. I've got quite a few carbide inserts that I have no idea whether or not they're of any use to me yet. So all of this carbide I got for one money, and I haven't even really looked through them yet to see what's in here. There's a lot of inserts here that actually look like they're very promising. It's like, oh, I wish I had the holder that these go in. These look like inserts for a parting blade that I do not have and I did not see there. IC 656. I don't want to, I don't want to fill this whole episode with me going through this. I already burnt enough time going through all those end mills, right? But you see, we got some of these. I know I have holders that will handle some of these. See, some of these are really old. You get down in here, look at these, like these old Kennametal ones. All right, so there's Carbaloy. Hey, TNMGs. And then there's some of these here. Okay, so we get that, and then that's not all the carbide that I got. I ended up getting this box of carbide, and then I bought this other box of stuff, and there was just some miscellaneous little packages of carbide laying around that I threw in that box, which I'll show you next. This is actually it. This is the last box, and then I got those 3 items I mentioned. And then I think the battery on the GoPro is going to die on me. Let me put these off to the side for a moment. So I just fished out all the carbide that was in this box. This was laying out there on the table, and some of these inserts are kind of interesting. They've got this gold coating on them. Now, I hear a lot of people talk about cheap quality Asian import inserts that have gold coatings on them to kind of make them look like they're worth something, but are actually kind of junk. But these are Lovejoy Tool Company inserts of Springfield, Vermont. I wonder if that company's still even in business. But I would venture to guess that these might be not the, cheapo junk. All right, so this is special inserts for Mac tool or Mal tool. Wonder if that's... So the reason why I wanted to get all of these inserts was because I'm hoping that somewhere amongst all these inserts there are going to be inserts that are going to be useful. Look at those funky ones. That are going to be useful for a couple of things I did get. You can see these little ones right here, these little diamond-shaped ones with holes in the middle. I think these might go in a couple of the face mills I picked up. This is Manchester Tool, a division of Warner Swayze. Wow. What the? There's a broken one in there. Let me get one of these out. Look at this. Look at this thing. It's like a carbide knife. Wow. All right. So case in point, this right here. This is a Kennametal boring bar. Okay. So this is a nice little boring bar I'll be able to use. But, if I don't have in here, if I don't have inserts for this thing. Okay, so maybe... Actually, it looks like this package right here looks like there might be like a 1-pack Yeah, looks like I got four more inserts for this boring bar, and then I'm I'm going online after that, I guess, to get any more. Oh, wait a minute. These are 62, 82, 73, 71s. I stand corrected. I got another package here. So, that'll get me through. So I want to keep those together. And then in here is also this this face mill. This is a Lovejoy.
Oh.
Oh, hey. It's a good thing they have the same damn brand name on them. Otherwise, I probably never would have realized that these are the inserts for this. I mean, this sure, to me, looks like it could take a much deeper cut than your typical face mill. I'll tell you one thing, the inserts that are in there right now are looking a little... No, I guess this is supposed to be for facing. I don't think you're supposed to be cutting on this full edge right here, probably, right? Well, that'll be fun to play with. And the good thing about this is it looks like I've got quite a few extra inserts, so if I burn them up in a trial and error learning process on how deep I can go, how hard I can push it. So as long as we're looking at those, let's look at these next. Okay. So this is an expensive one to ruin, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 inserts in this thing. Looks like somebody wrote on here Core Max 16. Can't quite make out what else is written on here. Wow, it's sharp. Somebody scratched a 4 in over here, so I'm thinking that's going to be they're probably trying to tell us it's a 4-inch diameter face mill, and it is. So it's a 4-inch diameter face mill, and it uses what appears to be triangle-shaped inserts. And I have not one, but 2 of them. Identical. Yeah, so I don't know who makes these. Can't find any markings on them other than what's chicken scratched into the top here, which doesn't make much sense to me. One more stray pack of inserts. These say regrinds on them. Lovejoys. Couple of R8 end mill holders. There's a big one there. There was actually 3 of these, and the guy wanted to keep one because he had a Bridgeport mill he wanted to keep one for. So these are marked R8-1-1 1/4, so that's 1 1/4 inches, and this is probably a 1 inch. But the rest of it doesn't have really any marking on it. I actually think these might be imports, but they're in really good shape, so no reason I can't use them. I actually have more of these, but I don't think I have these particular sizes, which is why I was glad to get these. Here's a face mill holder, which it's R8, and it's too small for this. And it's just right for this one. There we go. Oh yeah, nice. Put this to work right away. So that'll work. Son of a gun. This actually says Lovejoy right on it. So this is also a Lovejoy, which I'm going to have to do a little research to find out. But I mean, could this be Lovejoy Tool Company of Springfield, Vermont? Could they just be a distributor, and could this be import stuff? Or is this good old made in the USA stuff and it's just old? Big old Allen wrench. Large chuck key for a chuck that I did not get. I didn't even see this chuck. This is a Jacob's key. Think somebody put a little bit of extra force on that, tightening it, or what? Look at that thing. Wow. Huh. A little die holder. Huh. That's a nice little die holder. It's got a Chinese die in it, but the holder's okay. There you go, clearly marked China. This is a Morse taper 2 to R8 adapter. That's a big sucker. This is an R8 to almost looks like an MT4 or MT3 anyways. R8-MS3, so R8 to Morse 3. 2 Morse taper sleeves. These look like they're older and been around for a while. These are probably good old US made. This box is loaded with collets. This is probably a homemade taper tool to knock out a taper on a Morse. Here's a little end mill, insert type end mill. Oh, isn't that nice? Maximum 35,900 RPM. Yeah, I don't think the Wells Index is going to make that. That ain't happening. This is a Sandvik Coromat. I can tell you right now, this is something I should probably sell. Never going to get a chuchin anywhere near the kind of RPMs that this thing is designed to be seeing. Here's another homemade wedge. And then this is funny. Look at this. This is there's a third homemade wedge. And here are 2 Morse taper drifts. This one's a Cleveland, and this one is I don't know what brand it. Oh, it says Henderson. Cool. I actually was just going through my whole pile of these and making myself a complete set so I could sell off all the strays. So I'll add that to the strays. So all that's left in this box now are collets. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's 11 R8 collets in this box. What's the over and under on that these are all Chinese? They're all marked R8 and then the sizes. Not one of them is marked on the face, which is where Hardinge usually marks theirs. So they're not Hardinge. I'm pretty confident in saying that these are all Chinesium imports. I'm a bit of an elitist snob when it comes to my collets. Alright. Tomorrow I'll haul in those 3 items I overpaid for, and that'll conclude this. Oops, totally forgot about this. Said I had 3 more items, actually 4 more items. This was on the floor here, and I forgot that I also picked up this this rack with hold downs in it. It's a hold down set, and it looks pretty complete. I'm not quite sure what, if anything, went here, but it's a fairly complete set. It's MHC, so it's not a really expensive one, but it's so complete, and I bought it right, so I figured, why not? This is actually, I've never seen one like this. This back piece that hangs is metal, but this is all plastic. This whole tray assembly is plastic, and my my other sets are both metal. You know, there's a saying that you can never have enough clamps. Well, you probably never have enough hold downs either. So let's get to the 3 big ticket items I picked up. First of which is just an angle plate. This particular angle plate is actually a Suburban tool model. It's actually a model 040508, which means that it's 4 inches wide right here. It's 5 inches deep front to back, and it's 8 inches high. And it's got this handy handle on it. Alright. It's got a little bit of surface rust I'm going to need to clean up on it, but it's not horrible. It's definitely something I can resurrect. Over here it actually says machined. So most of the Suburban angle plates and fixtures like this that they make are available in 2 versions. The machined or milled version, and then the ground version. The ground ones, they take the extra step and they precision grind the faces to a lot tighter tolerance. So in other words, this face is guaranteed to be perpendicular to this face, or square to this face, within so much error. And on the ground models, that error is much smaller. With the level of accuracy that I strive for here, I don't need that ground. I mean, it would be nice if it was ground, but the reality is, if it was a ground one, my purchase price to selling price ratio would be so high I would probably be too tempted to sell it. Whereas this one here, contrary to the seller who thought that this was very, very valuable, I think I overpaid for this, quite frankly. I've bought some really nice ones in the past for much cheaper. But I like this one, and it was actually part of a package deal with this magnetic block, okay? And this is a Taft Pierce. So these Taft Pierce blocks, interestingly enough, they're sold through the Suburban online catalog. I notice a lot of what they offer is they're Suburban branded, and they also offer Taft Pierce. So I'm not sure exactly what the relationship is between the two companies, but that you can buy this branded Suburban, and I think it's less money than if you buy it branded Taft Pierce. And quite frankly, I have no idea whether or not there's even a relationship, if they're made by the same company, or whether or not Suburban has a distributor agreement with them, distribution agreement with them, or what. But anyways, this is very, very expensive new. So when you see something very expensive new, it's natural to think, well, that, you know, if it's that kind of crazy money new, then even used, it's still very valuable. But because of the precision that's required and expected of these devices, they don't necessarily hold their value as much. Now, the Taft Pierce name certainly helps. And the funny thing is, I already have one. This is another Taft Pierce. Now, it's interesting to me that the name is vertical on this one. It's not on that one, so I don't know if that's just a difference in age, but they're pretty much identical. Okay. This one I think I bought out of that 3-decker estate sale a couple of years ago, where I took a ton of stuff out of there, and I got this really cheap. That being said, it is functional. See, this one like moves really, really easily. This one is a little stiff, so this one might need to be maybe taken apart and cleaned and reassembled. I have no idea how that happens, but I'm sure there is a way that it can be done. I would imagine it's serviceable somehow. So I never ever did anything with this because, you know, being that it's magnetic, it's really for, I think it's more for use on a surface grinder. That one's on. Anyways, so if these weren't so hard to ship without having them damage them, you know, selves, or rip the box to shreds. I mean, really, to ship these, you got to crate them. You got to build a wood crate so that the box will survive being dropped occasionally during its trip. So right now, because I don't have a grinder set up, these aren't really much use practically. What I mean to say is they aren't of much practical use to me right now. Oh yeah, feel the burn. So these are actually in the Suburban Tool catalog. They call them Magna Squares, and they give the specifications for them. And the Suburban Tool one, they say that it's the same dimensions, 4 3/4 by 4 1/4 by 6 1/2, which is exactly what this is. It says that it's flat and square and parallel to within 3/100ths of a thousandth. On their site, they're saying that the price in US dollars is $2,118. But the reality is, I don't think anybody is buying those at that price. And then on another section of Suburban's tool site, they have the Taft Pierce product line. And the Taft Pierce product line, here it is, only they're calling it a magnetic angle iron instead of the Magna Square. The dimensions are identical, but it's interesting that the square and parallel claim is within 0.0002 thousandths. All right, so it's just a little bit better there, and the price is $23.49, so it's a little more expensive. So you get a little bit more precision for a little more expense by buying it as the Taft Pierce, proudly made in our facility in the USA. So I think maybe they have rights to the Taft Pierce brand name. Maybe, I don't know, because Taft Pierce used to be right here in I think Providence, Rhode Island. And the only example of one that I've found that actually sold was this one sold on eBay just on January 23rd for $800, but it's actually listed as brand new, and it looks it. So there you go. I mean, there's a good example right there. That's the same block that is, what did I say, $2,300 or abouts. Sold for, $800 new. That was just searching as the 9195 part number. It turns out if you just search Taft Pierce magnetic, you can find some other things. You can find it in other ways. So this person's listing it as a Taft Pierce magnetic tool maker's knee. All right, so I don't know where they came up with that terminology, but that's why I didn't find it on my first search. $775 or best offer for a used one. Well, again, asking is one thing. What you're going to get for it in the end, that's another story. And as far as sold, even with that listing designation, again, I can only find this one that's sold. All of the other Taft Pierce stuff that's coming up are all horses of a different color. Well, I haven't been able to find a listing for any of the Suburban Tool ones. The Magna Square doesn't come up at all. You have to search by angle plate to find anything even close, and I can't find any of the magnetic ones like this. So, well, for the time being, I'm not going to worry about it. We'll just put them over on the shelf, and I'll decide what to do with them later. And speaking of extremely expensive Suburban tools that I don't really need, that brings us to the final item of the evening. This little slice of heaven right here. Okay, so when I got there were actually two of these sitting on the table next to each other. Now, one of them was just this top part right here by itself, and then this one was exactly the way you see it, which I believe this is almost complete, with the exception of originally it came with an Allen key, this shaped Allen key with a ball handle on it to make it easier to turn the magnets on and off. This is a magnetic vise on top of a sine plate. It's 6 inches by 6 inches. So anyways, this kind of threw me off to see these this way. One that looked completely different than the other. And when you go online and you search, there's a plate right here with a model number on it. It's an MC-66-S1. And so you'll see on eBay people will list it this way. But the interesting thing is that the MC-66S1 is actually, the MC stands for magnetic chuck. What this is just a small 6x6 magnetic chuck. This is sitting on top of this sine plate. The sine plate has its own part number. But the reason why so many people don't realize that when they get these used is because this model number for the sine plate, you have to open the sine plate up, and you actually have to take this retainer screw out. So let me, you know what, let me do that. Let me get that out so I can show you guys. Might be a little hard to see in the belly of the beast, so to speak. But what that actually says in there is it says SP-66-S1, and the SP stands for sine plate. So this is actually two separate pieces. You can buy them, I believe, as a set. The S1 designation on the end means that these components are part of what Suburban calls their sine set series of compatible products. It makes this much more versatile, because if you want just a 6-inch by 6-inch square magnetic chuck, you can just take this top piece off and use it just as a magnetic chuck. Or if you just need a sine plate, 6x6 sine plate, you could take this magnetic chuck off, okay? You can loosen these two screws to bring this this up into position as a fence, and you've got a nice little sine plate. So it's really kind of a neat system. Again, crazy money. I think as an assembly, it's like over $1,800 new, but turns out it appears the going rate for these things on eBay used is around $350. Somebody was asking $450 or best offer for one, and it sold for $350, and then somebody else had one they were selling for $350. They were asking $350 and it sold for $350. So I think it's pretty safe to say that that's probably where the value is going to lie, somewhere in that range. This one actually appears to be very clean. The only thing other than the handle that I think it's missing is, in all of the photographs I've seen of these, this fence right here, there's two of them present. So these two holes right here are supposed to have another one of these attached to it, and that's missing. And I had to dig deep past my comfort level to you know, with an offer to liberate this from that garage. And needless to say, I couldn't cut a deal to snag the other one, which the other one was strictly a magnetic chuck. It wasn't just a sine plate. And to be honest, if I could have one or the other, if it was a situation where I could only have one or the other, I like the little sine plate more than I do the magnetic chuck. Yeah, I guess to each his own. So anyways, this would be very versatile on a grinder, I could see, for grinding on an angle. That's it. So I think that's about wraps it. I think that about wraps things up for this series. I don't see anything on the horizon. Of course, I didn't see this on the horizon, so I'm not going to say that you're not going to see one of these for a while. But you know, you never know. So I'm going to continue to work on cleaning and setting up the shop the way I want it set up, and make a little bit more room down here so we can get some of those projects in, because they're supposed to be projects that I'm supposed to take care of over this winter. And, well, quite frankly, we're already in February 2nd. So before you know it, spring will have sprung and bring the mud with it. All right. So appreciate if you guys would take the time to hit the like button. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing to my channel. You never know what you might get. My channel's like a box of chocolates. Never know what you might get. And what else was I going to say? I don't know. Couldn't have been that important. I think I've said enough already, right? All right, goodbye. One more parting thought before I leave. Earlier on, I showed you guys this Starrett 12-inch level. And I called it a number 98, just out of habit, I think. And I realized that it's got to be a pretty early one because of this box. And I did a little bit more research, and I now believe that this is a Starrett number 95. One of the things that makes me think that is, I mean, it could be a 96 or even a 97, I guess, but it's got this enamel, this black shiny enamel that they called Japanning back in the day. That makes it an earlier one. And of course, I already showed, hopefully that came out, this interesting logo right here. And then another clue is, if we look at the end right here, there are round nuts that require a special, almost like a micrometer wrench, to get in that hole there and grab to adjust these nuts on the end here, which a lot of the early Raybone levels apparently had that. And I don't know, I'm not positive, but I think it might be possible that Raybone actually made some of the early Starrett branded levels. So anyways, a little bit more information about this level in case anybody was interested. Well, it's February 2nd. It's pretty brisk outside, but I am going to redress that grinding wheel. That's all out of sorts on that Dayton grinder, because I just want to get it resolved. Because my buyer's coming today, and I want him to be able to see that grinder run and this grinder run, so he can decide which one he wants to take and which one I will keep. First, a quick before shot showing how it runs out here on this using the old cast iron tabletop on the saw. For those of you who are wondering, I'm going to wear a full face shield and hearing protection. If I were inside, I would wear a dust mask. You can already hear it smoothing up. That's pretty good. Good enough.